In 2014, the average life expectancy in Greece was 79.5 years. It puts Greece in 17th place in the world's life expectancy indicator. But this is not the main thing. The country has its own Olympus of longevity. A small island of Ikaria in the Aegean Sea. According to statistics, its population lives up to 90, 2.5 times more often than in other European countries. For some reason, there are places on the face of Earth where centenarians are concentrated, and it seems to me that this indicates that there's something in this place that helps people live longer. This may be the composition of the soil, water, it may be air, food, social relationships between people. Ikaria owes its name to the hero of ancient mythology. According to the legend, among these misty cliffs, Hercules buried the body of the fallen Icarus. Excavations by archaeologists testify the first Greek settlements appeared on the island in the 10th century BC. Modern Ikaria is 2 towns and 60 villages, inhabited by only 9,000 people. The village of Christos Radhes is located in the northern part of the island, at an altitude of 500 meters above sea level. Many streets in this village are real mountainous and covered in concrete. Despite her advanced age, Grandma Ioanna takes this incline almost daily.
My name is Joanna Stomatiu Proiu. I was born on July 11, 1911.
This little woman is making such earnest efforts not for the sake of some leisured walks. The end point of her uneasy trip is a local art center. Today, the most valuable belongings of Ioanna's life are stored in the center. These old weaving looms are still operational.
My mother was a weaver. She had 13 children. I was the 10th child in the family. And when my mother sat down to sew, she would put me in a cradle next to the machine. So I grew up next to her workplace until I was 4.
The weaver devoted almost all her life to her vocation. The charming long-liver never attended any school. Like many Greek women, she married her husband late, almost at 30. Ioanna buried her late husband in 1970. As time went on, her 12 brothers and sisters also passed away.
And resentment and my problems. I was going through all this on the job. Now I work much less. Once my son came and said, "Mom, I'll disassemble the machine because you're tired." No, I do not get tired. And what, I should sit on the porch and watch all who pass by? No. I would rather sit behind the machine. It makes me happy.
Ioanna Proiu believes that her labor of love is a primary source of her vitality. Therefore, she gladly accepted the offer of her fellow villagers. And in 1995, she mastered one more profession: teaching. In this small workshop, the 100-year-old weaver teaches anyone who wants to learn her ancient craft.
Put 2 fingers here. Don't be afraid. Good.
Wow.
Now put the other arm. There inside. There. See how it works? The threads intersect. And then you pull it over. That's all.
Is it difficult to do that?
No, not at all difficult. I'm almost 100 years old and I can do it. I like to communicate with the youth. And many elderly in their 70s are lying in the bed already. They dream only about how to get into bed. My nurse often says, "Lay down, take rest." What for? When I'm lying, I become sick. You should move.
The grandma from the village of Christos Raches is a typical example of active Ikarian longevity. And the reasons behind it are what gerontologists from different countries from all over the world are interested in. Greece, Athens. One of the first to unravel the mystery of the age-related anomalies of Ikaria were Greek scientists.
My name is Christina Hirisoboli. I'm a cardiologist at the Athens University First Hospital, and I'm 46 years old.
In 2009, a group of researchers arrived on the island from the University of Athens. And the focus of attention of this scientific expedition were almost 1,500 elderly inhabitants of Ikaria. The oldest of them, 110 years old.
Maybe there are some other specificities or peculiarities, differences between the centenarians and other people.
Probably there are some differences according to the polymorphism that have to do with mental health. They also to the more advanced occurrence of coronary artery disease and stroke. Because in Ikarian people we see the cardiovascular disease and stroke coming about 80 years later than the general population.
So I'm neurophysiologist, and of course I'm really interested in the mental status of the centenarians.
The mental status is better in the Ikarian elderly people than the mean levels of the European population. Maybe we have attributed that to the physical activity because they consume omega-3 fatty oils, especially for fish oil.
Since ancient times, the water area of Ikaria has been famous for its rich haul. Thanks to this, the ancient Greeks called the island Iktioessa, a fish island. However, 100 years ago and 2,000 years ago, seafood was part of the daily diet of all Greek island inhabitants. But only the Ikarians demonstrate the miracles of healthy longevity. What makes them different from the residents of other Greek territories?
It must be genetic, but also genetic environmental interaction as well. And also their lifestyle habits. They like to live more plain lives, and they have lack of stress. And also it's something that we have lost in the big cities. They do have strong family connections. They live all together and they help each other very much. It may be surprising for nowadays that you see people that have a character that they don't care for everyday stress. They don't care for
Reasonableness, unselfishness, and altruism are characteristic features of the inhabitants of the island. One of the main traditions of this community is mutual supportiveness. Until the present, during the harvesting of olives, private plots are handled by the whole village in turns. As a rule, the Ikarians do it at an easy pace.
A man should take care of others and think about the good things. Not only about money. You shouldn't love these pieces of paper so strongly. Worry about it, save it, competing. You should have enough to live, and the rest should help other people.
She is very cheerful. Her speed of reaction is striking. She answers a question almost instantly, although for older people it is more natural to think, to choose words. With her, it's not like this. An immediate question has an immediate answer. And what is more, this answer is on the button. This long liver from a mountain village demonstrates striking sanity and speed of mental processing. There's no better candidate for the first tests.
So I will show you some gests, and you have to repeat them, okay? Do like that. Like that. And now like this. Okay, let's do that again.
She was tested for the correct repetition sequence of a movement. This test looks simple at first glance. You can try it yourself. It takes just a few tries, and then there is some possibility of mistake. The 103-year-old woman has successfully passed the opening stage of the test. She repeated what she saw 3 times. At the second stage, she needs to repeat all the movements from memory.
Again, one more.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Super, again. Bravo. Thank you very much.
Without a single mistake, without a single miss, she did everything she was asked, again and again. And it seems to me that this is because of the fact that she worked all her life as a weaver. That is, you need to change threads, you need to unravel some knots. Naturally, this requires concentration and memory. In spite of the fact that she is more than 100 years old, she's been training her brain almost constantly. Neurophysiologist Murat Minlabayev believes that the 100-year-old weaver has performed the difficult task thanks to regular practice, her creative work. Is it really in our hands? Is it possible for an individual to delay the age-related extinction of their abilities? Imagine such an example. A house. You built it. You need to use it if you want it to last 100 years. If you do not inhabit it or at least warm it up, then small cracks will appear here and there, and it will begin to break down. It seems to me that you have to do the same with the brain. It needs to be used to keep its function for a long time. Perhaps the same can be said about the whole organism. What we do not use will eventually atrophy and disappear. Very old age is not a drawback for Costa Spanos to concern himself with on the main scale of events. The old man gets bored of the TV, so he follows the news in the old-fashioned way, reading newspapers. One more hobby of the long liver is reading the Great Soviet Encyclopedia, 1977 edition. When these volumes left the printing house, the long liver from Ikaria was well over 60. My name is Costa Spanos. I was born in 1913. I am 101 years old. Costa Spanos was born and has spent most of his life in the onshore town of Yvilos. This town, founded at the beginning of the 19th century, was once the capital of the island. It was a very poor place, and a man had to work hard to earn his own bread. Life was very severe. Fortunately, I did not starve, because we had a small family and we grew food ourselves. Grapes, almonds, wheat. By local standards, Costa Spanos received a good education. After 9 years of school, he graduated from the Greek analog of vocational school, specializing in commerce and finance. The future long liver even managed to open a small shop. He wanted to expand his business, but the Second World War got in the way. We were fighting in Albania. with the Italians. On April 6, 1941, on a Tuesday, I was wounded. A mortar shell left me without half of my leg. The case of Costa Spanos is really unique. Injuries, fractures, major operations deplete body resources and adversely affect life expectancy. Despite the severe wound, this resilient man stepped over the 100-year boundary. I was always getting along peacefully. I knew when enough is enough. And most importantly, I didn't give way to worries and emotional stresses. You must not be distressed. My grandfather lived up to 100 years, and he always repeated, whatever happens to you, even if your house catches on fire, do not worry, but say, there are worse things that can happen. This is a man who weighs up his every move and every word. He's rational in everything he does. He adheres to a strict diet. He doesn't smoke or drink. The long liver from Yvilos is attentive to his nutrition. He hardly ever eats any meat. He avoids fried food. In his daily routine, there is always room for daytime sleep and working with financial documents. The man still helps his children to do domestic jobs. But today, he is going to do one of the most difficult tests in the history of our project. The visual spatial praxis test is quite a different one. I had my doubts as to whether he could pass it. This test is about consecutive connection of letters and numbers by increasing A1, 1B, and so on. When we started this test, the long liver started to put proper connections together in a dash. The visuospatial praxis means a person's ability to perform purposeful actions. This complex functional system includes a whole set of thinking processes: memory, attention, orientation, forming algorithms from movements. In the end, the centenarian couldn't quite deliver because of low concentration. For a person who has lived more than 100 years, it is not surprising that he simply switched to something else or simply forgot about the main idea of this test. The fact that this test has not been passed doesn't mean anything. He reads newspapers, he communicates with friends, he communicates with his relatives, with his son, but this unfortunately does not exclude the fact that some issues will still arise, but they will come considerably later. I want to keep up with everything that happens in this world, and I'm not going to die yet, because life is a beautiful thing. Ikaria can really be called an island of long livers. In nearly every populated place, there is a centenarian. And as a rule, not just one. To see this, it is enough just to take a few steps from the porch of Costa Spanos. His neighbor, Yvilos, is now on the threshold of her 100th birthday.
My name is Evangelia Carnava. On March 13th, I will be 100 years old.
This beautiful woman is the same age as the house she lives in. Her father built it just before Yvilos was born. During her childhood, life on the island was simple but rough. Although Yvilos was the island's capital, it rather resembled a village.
I took care of the animals, worked in the field. After studying at the school, I returned to my duties of caring for the garden, growing plants, and cleaning the house.
Remarkably enough, at the age of 99, this old woman lives alone. She keeps her household all alone and does not need daily help.
I don't need help yet. I wash my floor, my dishes, I go to the store, do my laundry. With God's blessing, I get it all done at home. Sorry I did not have time to sweep the yard before you came, where a lot of leaves had fallen.
The modest dwelling of this long liver shines with cleanliness. There are only the bare essentials in these rooms: a TV, washing machine, some holy images in a corner, and a few photos on the snow-white wall.
This is my younger sister. We were 3 sisters. One died at 90 years old. The oldest, 99.
According to the classification of the World Health Organization, long-living people are supposed to be those at least in their 90s. It turns out that Yvilos is not the only long-living person in the Carnava family.
My grandmother lived to be 107 years old. She walked by herself, washed, ate. Her son had immigrated to America. So she always told me without hesitation about how many dollars he sent her. And she was 107 years old. I want to live to 120 years old.
It seems like living a long time is a long-standing tradition in Ikaria. To review the history of longevity of a particular region is quite difficult. The most accessible way is to visit the town cemetery. The burial place of the inhabitants of Yvilos is located almost on the seashore. The cemetery is small, with about 200 graves. However, 1 in 3 persons here lived into their 90s. Within half an hour, we found 3 more long livers older than 100 years. Gorgius Tatis, born in 1907, died in 2010. But this is not the oldest long liver in this cemetery. The oldest person in this coastal cemetery was this man. He died at the end of the last century. His tombstone says Stephanos Kalamboyas died at 104 years. Specifying the exact age is not the only feature of Greek burial. The everlasting deficit of land on the islands gave birth to an unusual tradition. 3 years after a person has died, they are dug up. The grave then passes on to relatives. The only way to avoid this is to redeem the land in advance. But land is expensive. In reality, there should be many more graves of centenarians from Ikaria. The historian and archaeologist Katsaras Themistokoulos graduated from the University of Athens. Since he was a student, he has had an interest in the past of his native land. Ikaria has been passed from hand to hand since the Roman Empire. Venetians, Genoese, Byzantines, and just pirates. Finally, the Turkish conquerors. Living on the coast was unbearable. The Ikarians abandoned their houses and went high into the mountains. Therefore, for a long time, this island was considered uninhabited. In the mountains, everyone had to work hard. People cleared the forest, cut down the rocks. They did everything together. They hung out together. The first roads on the island appeared only in the 60s. Until then, everyone, including the elderly, used to walk. I think this is difficult life embedded in all Ikarians, a natural health and longevity, the secret of which everyone is now looking for. Modern Ikaria is the realm of a calm, level life. Tourist fever bypassed this plot of land. Therefore, the local population can afford a siesta and a special attitude to time. These people rarely look at their watches. Even less often, they arrive somewhere on time. On the island, they joke, the Ikarians live very long because they forget to die. My grandma died at 97. Her husband's brother at 107. On the island, such people were always called Caracazoids, like the bird Caracas that live up to 100 years. Translated into English, Caracas means crow. In the current capital of the island, the town of Aegean, Gregoris, another Greek Caracazoid is getting prepared to celebrate his 105th birthday. My name is Gorgius Cassiotis. I'm 104 years old. Gorgius Cassiotis is not an ordinary Ikarian. Almost all of his conscious experience, he's been in high-end positions. I was a civil servant, a financial auditor, then a major official in the Ministry of Finance. In the war, I quickly rose to the rank of captain of the cavalry. Even in retirement, this man continued to lead people. For a long time, he was the head of various public organizations. Today, the long liver is still the head in his own house. His wife is 27 years younger than her husband. The 80-year-old Gorgius once conquered her with his wisdom and thoroughness of his thoughts and opinions. I have a good life. I'm beside my beloved wife. She takes care of me. Everything is fine with me. How old do I feel? Well, I don't feel like 50, of course, because I'm not in some flippant age. What is worse, my vision has deteriorated. I have a cataract. I'm going to have an operation soon. Lentiform opacity is the only ailment of this century-old man. And the disease almost became an obstacle to the next research of our program. The fact is that most of the intellectual tests are written. They require good eyesight. We took the Montreal test, which allows us to assess drawbacks in the cognitive field. But due to the fact that this elderly person is already developing cataracts, we asked him to name as many words starting with the same letter in 1 minute as possible. A good result for a middle-aged, educated person is from 9 to 15 words. General, savior, counterpart, grapes, sabotage, more, guard, Socrates, Stephanos. Stop. 1 minute is up. Bravo. Bravo. The 104-year-old man stepped over the boundary of middle age long ago. Nevertheless, he has shown a good result. To be able to concentrate on this, to pick up what is appropriate from memory. Yes, among these words, there were 2 actual names. But I think this is excusable for his age. Besides, after the minute passed, he gave a few more words within 10 seconds. Financier Gorgius has always dealt with figures. He chooses his words carefully and thoroughly. Experiments made by gerontologists confirm solving logical problems on a regular basis is an effective way to combat senile dementia. An experiment was conducted where a group of elderly people was divided into two parts. One group, they just lived as they used to, watching TV, taking walks, looking out the window. The second group had to solve some tasks every day. After some time, a test was conducted to track their cognitive function. That is, the ability to analyze, count, think of something specific. Well, then the group that used mathematics showed much higher results. Mental and physical activity gives senior citizens extra years of life. Moderation and a calm attitude in times of turmoil and a measured rhythm help to avoid stress. What other components of longevity can be found on this unusual island? The matter is about a good ecology. We don't have factories, pollution. The air here is clean. True optimists live here. Above all things, I miss our festivals. With full tables, dancing, and singing. It is no coincidence that the metropolitan long liver has collected the main national habit of the Ikarians. For hundreds of years, his compatriots have lived under the principle that says holidays and fun are never enough. Pay attention, Murat. People wish each other the same thing at every holiday: long life. It's very symbolical for this island. It has been estimated, if you add together all religious and secular celebrations on the island, you will get a fantastic figure: 250 days a year. Back in the old days, things were like this. People worked all week in the fields many kilometers away from home. And on holidays, they gathered together, ate, drank, and had fun. People would leave their problems at home and forget about their troubles and stress. These folk festivals are not just an occasion to have fun and relax. They are a real form of social support. For example, all the meals for these tables are a joint effort and are handed out to everyone, including the poor. The Ikarians eat abundantly, but they use or consume many natural products, which are all about fiber. This is volume, but with regard to energy, it is not overeating. In other words, after eating a salad, a natural green food, we fill the stomach's volume. The Ikaria inhabitants call their own meal system a foundation for longevity. "250 kilometers away from this island in the Greek capital, Athens, works a man who knows all about the Mediterranean diet and its Ikarian varieties."
My name is Panayoticus. I'm a professor of biostatistics and epidemiology of nutrition at Harokopio University. I'm 47 years old.
Since 2007, Professor Panayoticus has studied the particularities of the diet of the Greek islands old-timers. The ambitious goal of this large-scale project is to calculate the so-called Mediterranean code of successful longevity.
In the MEDI study, we have enrolled approximately 2,700 older adults living in 18 Mediterranean islands, and the major goal of this study is to find determinants of successful aging, of living longer but with better quality of life. Under the context of the MEDI study, we evaluated dietary habits, dietary behaviors. Recent epidemiologic studies have revealed that one of the most important factors of achieving lower cardiovascular disease rates and cancer
For more than 7 years, scholars from Athens were peeking into the dishes of the island's inhabitants, and then they compared gastronomical data from different regions. It was discovered that there are no unique products that would suit the role of the youth elixir in Ikaria. The key point is that the centenarians eat much less than their fellow countrymen.
What we have to do just to live longer? What do you think?
It has been estimated that this diet was approximately 1,500 to up to 1,800 calories per day. We have to follow a diet close to approximately 2,000 calories or less, to eat more vegetables, greens, salads, cereals, to avoid pasta, to avoid meat, to avoid sweets. We have to eat at least 5 times per day, small portions. This would help our metabolism to act better. Also, we have to include to our lunches water. We need plenty of water. And finally, in my opinion, we have to turn back to our agro-food industry instead of the industry of the food markets.
The Aboriginal Ikarian, Gregoris Zachario, whiles away his life in the company of the wife. In 2014, this elderly couple celebrated their 62nd anniversary together. At their wedding, the groom was already about 40. My name is Gregoris Zachario. I am the son of Philip and Yanula. I'm 101 years old. Grandpa Gregoris is the oldest resident of the mountain village of Mandria. He is 19 years older than his wife. From his youth, this man has earned a living by doing simple labor. He still doesn't like to sit twiddling his thumbs. I don't do anything special. I always take away the garbage myself. Sometimes I go harvest olives. In the past, I had to grub along, attend the garden, raise poultry. I also was handling metals, selling charcoal. I did everything. The old-timer's daily routine has not changed for decades. He wakes up at 8 in the morning, has a light breakfast, does household chores. An inescapable item of Gregoris' evening program is to visit the village cafeteria that lies a kilometer away from his home. This man has extraordinary energy for his age. I mean, to see a man sweeping the yard when he is over 100 years old is dumbfounding. Then later, in the cafeteria, he sits in the thick of it all, listening to what he's being told. He takes part in the conversation, keeps it up. He continues the conversation. He streams it. The cafe is a must. All the village news is discussed there. Important decisions are taken. It's astonishing how this centenarian man still prefers to be in the center of social life, although this years-long custom once almost cost him his life. I had been by our cafe for quite a time, talking. I was tired and lost my focus. When I was crossing the street, a car hit me, but I got off lightly. I did not die. The accident occurred in 2013. As a result of the accident, the long liver received fractures to both legs. As a rule, at his age, such traumas lead to disability. Within just a year, the 100-year-old man completely recovered from what had happened. Today, his solid health is just remarkable. So naturally, I wanted to find out about his muscle tone, and his case just came to hand. He is strong. Even today, he is really strong. Despite all of his 100 years, I suppose that his biological age is considerably less, or perhaps that of a 70-year-old. Of course, age is taking its toll. But I always say, while everything works, life is beautiful. We can have fun. The high mountain village of Mandria is the last point of this scientific journey through Ikaria. After acquainting himself with 5 super long livers, the Russian scientist is ready to wrap up our expedition. The first thing is time. In Ikaria, they have a special attitude towards time. A clock is not an important thing in a house. The Ikarians live steady going and on an even keel. They forget about time, and time repays that. Thus, hasten without hurrying. The second thing is the food. Try to eat more vegetables and green food. Food which is rich in cellulose. Try to leave the table without eating too much and stay a little hungry. And the most important thing is your mind. Train it, read, socialize, learn something new, regardless of your age. Use it to the full, and then it will serve you for a long time. The expert has made his conclusions. The search for the recipe of longevity continues. The next stop in our program is the world record holder for the number of long livers, Japan.